At the party, the music was loud, glasses clinked, and laughter rolled through the hall like waves. I stood near the edge of the crowd, trying to look present but feeling strangely detached. My wife, Claire, had been the star of the evening, floating from one group to another, her hand brushing arms, her laugh always a little too generous. I told myself I was imagining things, but the knot in my chest had been tightening all night. When she finally came back to me, her cheeks glowing with champagne and compliments, she leaned in close. The perfume she wore, once a comfort, felt suffocating. She tilted her face toward mine, lips ready to meet, and for the first time in our marriage I turned away. "Not tonight," I said, my voice steady but cold enough to freeze her smile midair. The shock on her face was almost theatrical. Claire wasn't used to rejection. Not from me, not from anyone. Her eyes flickered, scanning me as if she'd just discovered a stranger standing in her husband's suit. She pulled back, smoothed her dress, and laughed a little too loudly, brushing it off like I'd told a clumsy joke. But I hadn't. For months, maybe years if I was honest, I'd been shrinking. Every party, every dinner, every casual gathering had turned into a stage where Claire performed and I stood in the wings, applauding silently while she stole the spotlight. It wasn't the attention itself that hurt. It was the indifference she carried home. Behind closed doors, the warmth was gone. Conversations turned into one-word exchanges, and intimacy was scheduled, rushed, mechanical. I stayed because I believed things would get better, that maybe it was a phase, that work stress or exhaustion had drained her. But then I started noticing the patterns. The way she lingered longer in conversations with men she claimed were just colleagues. The late-night texts she quickly turned face down on the table, the subtle distance she placed between us in public, as if acknowledging me was optional. That night at the party, something inside me snapped. Not in rage, but in clarity. Pulling away wasn't about punishing her. It was about reclaiming myself. Claire tried to cover the awkward moment by dragging me into a conversation with her friends, pretending nothing had happened. They laughed, sipping their drinks, while I nodded absently, my mind drifting further from the noise. She touched my arm once, lightly, but I didn't lean in. The current that used to pull me toward her had disappeared. Later, when we got home, the silence was louder than the music had been. She tossed her purse onto the counter and said, "What was that back there?" Her tone carried irritation, not concern. "You tell me," I answered, meeting her eyes. For the first time, she looked uncertain, like she didn't have the script memorized. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just stood there, waiting. And in that waiting, the truth began to surface. Not through her words, but in the cracks of her hesitation. Claire crossed her arms, leaning against the kitchen island like she was preparing for a debate. "You embarrassed me tonight," she said flatly. I almost laughed. Embarrassed her? That was what she pulled from the evening? Not the quiet rejection, not the months of distance, not the hollowness echoing between us. Just the fact that her audience might have noticed something wasn't perfect. "Embarrassment isn't the problem, Claire," I said calmly. "It's everything else." Her eyes narrowed. "You're being dramatic. You're tired, that's all. You've been stressed lately." There it was again, the deflection, the minimization. But this time I wasn't biting. "Do you even notice me anymore?" I asked, my voice firmer now. "Outside of parties, outside of photos, when it's just us. Do you see me at all?" She blinked, taken aback, but her silence spoke louder than any argument. For years, I'd been the one clinging, the one adjusting, the one making excuses. That night, I decided the excuses were over. Finally, she sighed, her polished mask slipping. "What do you want me to say, Michael? That things have been different? Fine, they have. But couples go through rough patches. It doesn't mean anything. Rough patch. That's what she called it. But I remembered every unanswered message, every dismissive shrug, every time she turned her back when I reached for her. I remembered standing in the kitchen some nights, watching her scroll endlessly on her phone while I sat invisible at the table. "It means something," I said. "It means I've been waiting for you to choose me, and you haven't." Her jaw tightened, guilt flickering across her face before she buried it. "You're imagining things," she muttered, but her voice lacked conviction. "No, Claire. I'm finally seeing them clearly." The silence stretched. The weight between us pressed heavier with every second. I thought she might break down, confess something, tell me what I already suspected, that someone else had been filling the space I'd been shut out of. But instead, she turned away, busying herself with the dishes that didn't need washing. And that was my answer. That night, I didn't sleep next to her. I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, feeling both hollow and strangely free. The betrayal wasn't a single kiss stolen in secret or a lie caught red-handed. It was years of absence, years of choosing everyone else over the life we were supposed to share. By morning, I knew what I had to do. When she came downstairs, hair tied back, phone already in her hand, I didn't greet her with small talk. I simply said, "Claire, this isn't working anymore." Her head shot up, eyes wide. "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious," I said. "Last night wasn't about punishment. It was the first time I stopped pretending." She opened her mouth, but no excuses came. Maybe because deep down, she knew I was right. And in that quiet, I realized the greatest betrayal wasn't hers alone. It was mine too, for staying silent for so long. Walking out the door that day, I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't arrive with a dramatic affair or a public scandal. Sometimes it's just the slow erosion of love, until one night, when the music is loud and the world is watching, you finally pull away and whisper, "Not tonight."